Welcome to Journey of Faith, Business Owner, episode number 5. I'm your host, Renee Berry. For this 5th episode, I'm entitling it, How I Charge for My Services. I have to admit, this is the most asked question for those working in landscaping. How do you charge for each service? When I started, I did some research, but there were times when I lowballed my prices because I felt I wanted to keep the client, and therefore I shot myself in the foot. I would do way more than expected because you just don't know the hidden things lurking under the soil. Sometimes I would have to deal with rocks and so many weeds before I could even get started with what I had in mind to do. Because it took me more time than I had anticipated, I would go back to the client and up my costs, or sometimes I would just bear the loss because of my lack of counting the costs beforehand. I have learned to access the area thoroughly and give myself plenty of time to work, just in case there are hidden things under the soil I have no control over. This saves me from embarrassment going to the client and asking for more money, and sometimes I'm finished ahead of schedule, saving the client money. There are 2 ways in which I charge clients: by the job or by the hour. Before, when I started my business, I would take pictures and go home and prepare a sketch of the work to be done with a software package I purchased from Better Home and Gardens. I pretty much uploaded a picture of the area needing the change, and I would put in all the things I was going to put in: trees, shrubs, perennials, or annuals. I would present this to the client, and once approved, I got started. In a situation like this, I would charge by the job. I would figure out all that job would require of me. If I had to start from scratch with a garden bed, it would require me digging and edging a new bed, which could take a lot of time, depending on how many you are doing and the size. So the time and labor is a big factor to think about when you are starting from scratch. If you are working with an existing bed and just clearing out or putting in new plants, then this would be much easier time-wise than starting from scratch. Picking up the plants, the materials I would need to plant, compost, fertilizer, and other amendments, the tools I would be using for the job, weed whackers, blowers, and either batteries or gas to use the equipment. I also charged in the overall price for mileage, which you can find out how to do by Googling how to charge for mileage. I also tacked 20% to items that I purchased for the client, because basically you're going out, you're spending your time picking up items for your client. Some clients will pick up items, therefore not being charged the 20%, but if I go out and purchase these items from my wholesaler or from a big box store, I will charge 20% to that item. So all in all, I charge 20% tacked on to each item that I purchase for my client, as well as the per hour of labor that I charge for each job. All of these things and more have to be taken into account when you are getting paid by the job. If you skip anything and not think it through, you will eat the cost yourself, and that's never fun. So it's very important for me to think through every step before I present an estimate. Working by the hour is very nice when the job is perhaps maintenance. The bed already exists and the client wants a cleanup. Perhaps the shrubs cut back, leaves and weeds removed. Add in some summer annuals and you're finished. This could take 4 or 5 hours and you could charge by the hour. It would be very helpful on your part to have a list of things that you charge for. For instance, cutting shrubs. If you have boxwoods that you cut, depending on the size of the boxwoods, there are some that are very small. You could have a small price for that. You could have a price for medium-sized boxwoods. You could also have a price for very large boxwoods. So this is something that you would need to just have a list of, and then that way when you have a job that you are potentially trying to get, you can just look at your list and say, well, they have boxwoods, they have about 4 of them, they're very small, I'm going to charge $5 per boxwood to cut. Sometimes it's good to get a list from those who are doing the job, or you could look online to see what the price in your area range from. If you do not find someone who's willing to reveal their prices, or if you don't find something like this online, just think yourself, what would I want to pay to have this boxwood trimmed? Would I want to pay $5 for this, $10? What would be the rate that you would pay for something like that? And go from there. But always try to do your research. Because I worked for several years helping a person who owned her own landscaping company, I found out what was the going rate for a landscaper in my area. I worked for her part-time while I was growing my business. I worked pretty much for the experience rather than the pay. It was a great experience, and I would highly recommend working for someone and getting some experience under your belt if you are to work in this industry. I began charging my new clients $45 an hour. This did not scare them off at all, as I thought it would. Matter of fact, my clients didn't raise an eyebrow or stop their services with me because of my price. I also decided to get more experience in horticulture by becoming a master gardener. You must complete a 30-hour core training. I went in person at our local botanical garden for training. As a master gardener trainee, I am required to give 30 hours of volunteer service back to the community in approved university extension activities every year to stay active. This experience has been life-changing in becoming a better gardener and helping my community. It also helped me with my confidence in my business. I hope this has helped you in understanding that it takes time figuring out what you are to charge per job or per hour for your services. Either way, do your own research for what is the right price for your area and your expertise, and you will do well. Don't sell yourself short. That doesn't help you or those doing the same thing you are doing. It is never good to lowball your prices just to get clients. You are worth every penny of your labor, especially in my field because it is strenuous labor. Thanks so much for listening to Journey of Faith Business Owner. I look forward to spending time with you in the next podcast.